So this fission reactor, I'm going to try my best to explain what's going on here, so it should be really easy to understand. So we have water, and we turn that water into brine. So what this evaporation block does is it takes water, fills it up inside of this, takes these advanced solar panels to heat it up. So you'll see the heat slowly rising. The max is around 1.5K. Once it's produced that water into brine, the brine will be exported and it will go over to this very complicated system. And we have two streams. So this is one stream, this is one stream, and then this is one stream. And it all gets put into this one block, which once this side's done, we'll get the uranium from this right side to uranium oxide, and those two sides will produce this, and this will go all the way over here into the isotropic centrifuge and turn into fissile fuel, which you see is quite low right now, so I'm waiting for that to fill up again. So from the left we get the brine, which turns into sodium, and sodium gets put with hydrogen to create hydrogen chloride, which instantly gets put into this. This is very slow, but the hydrogen chloride with gunpowder makes sulfur. And once that sulfur goes into here, it makes sulfur dioxide. Once it goes there we go. And then that sulfur dioxide turns into sulfur trioxide. And then that gets put with water vapor. There we go. And then that with sulfuric acid gets put into this, and this slowly fills up every single time that this runs. And then that sulfuric acid, once it hits 1,000, it's at like 500 right now, so it's halfway. Once it's filled, it will turn one of these fluoride blocks into the output, which gets put with uranium oxide, which then gets outputted and makes our fissile fuel. To make this work as an enclosed system, this needs oxygen and this needs hydrogen. So what I've done is I've done an electrolytic separator. So we get the hydrogen, we get the oxygen, so the oxygen goes through here, and we get the hydrogen running through here down the back into the back of this. And then that's our little nice system. And then we have this little system, so this is getting water, that's getting water, and then this is getting the brine. And then what we have over here is our output waste management. So the whole point of the turbine is kind of like the last element of this entire thing, which produces the energy. So we have two outputs and inputs, they do the same thing. So this is our output of the energy, and this is one of the fatal things that I did not have. I just didn't have an output. And you'll see this energy slowly rising. And once it hits max, the way it produces energy in the first place is it turns steam into energy. And so if there's max energy, max capacity, it cannot turn more steam into energy. And so steam will fill up, which means it cannot produce any more water, and so the water cannot be put back into this. So what's happening is I've got several pumps and create pumps. They're both two different mods, putting into this tank as basically our buffer, which gets exported, imported into this as coolant. So the water becomes our coolant, and our fissile fuel, which is about to run out, you'll see this slowly drain in a second once it runs out, which is very scary. Once this runs out, it's gonna blow up. No. Very interesting. So it's fine to run without fissile fuel? I'm so scared to just not have this working properly, so seems fine. But once that fissile fuel is used, the byproduct is steam. And the steam goes into this, which runs it. And so what I had before is not enough coolant, because this would use too much, like it would produce too much energy. The energy wasn't being used, and so what I've done is I've taken out the energy and I've basically wired it to power basically everything, and so that's going above all my components. There we go. So we created more fissile fuel from over here. So this went along all the way over here, went into this, went into this, and then we have 20 kVs of fuel, so that's going to start running again. Perfect. So I can technically AFK this now, but the only thing I can't AFK is this. The energy is not being used fast enough, and the only way to use it fast enough, as I've found, is to use Silk Touch, which is, if I show you, if I select just alls, uses a lot of energy. So if I put this on, it will start using Silk Touch on every single block beneath me, and now the energy will start draining. There we go. So the two byproducts of this is steam, which is being used to make energy, water back into the coolant, closed system. The other byproduct is waste, nuclear waste, and you'll see these little particles, which at first I thought meant it was leaking, and I had a little panic attack, because in this mod pack, and pretty much every single place that you look, it says warning, explosions, you know, output your reactor into a radio, you know, barrels that decay apparently. So there's a decay life on them, which is not fun. But essentially what I'm doing is I'm putting it into a buffer in case this is full. It will fill up these pipes, and then this radioactive waste barrel, and then this will take sunlight. It will turn this nuclear waste into polonium, and this polonium with water, which is produced behind it, will turn fluoride dust into polonium pellets, which is what I need, and is what I did this entire thing for. All this, the 3 explosions, and the fun. So that also produces waste, which is exported and is known as spent nuclear waste, which apparently doesn't decay, but you know, we never know. What I've been doing this entire time, because to create this amazing armor set, which I'll go over in a little bit, you need polonium pellets. Not only does it create, need netherite armor, it needs this, which is atomic alloy, which you need, enriched obsidian, which needs diamond dust, which needs powered obsidian dust, just to get that one alloy, which you need 2 of them to just craft one of these, which you need 4 of, to get every single piece, and then you need a next level, and a next level, and a next level, and a next level. And this is produced by osmium and redstone, and it's such a long process just to get the armor set. This was even longer. This needed 2 of them. I needed an atomic disassembler, which needed atomic alloy, refined obsidian, and all of this stuff. And then it needed polonium pellets. It needed a basic induction cell, which is quite hard, and then HDP pellets, which is just the byproduct of substrate, which I can get through as a byproduct. So if we stop that, if we go back to the base, so one cool thing about this is it runs on energy, not durability. So the more damage I take, the more energy that it uses. So if you look at my armor, you'll see a little dip. More damage I take, more energy, but because I'm getting so much wireless charge, I basically am invincible. So this is gonna be a little base tour. So this is my little spawn point. So this is how I get back to the base, and this is where I go to all the other places. So this is a little cave into my base. I've kind of put all my tech stuff underneath the mountain, and I've left this bit open. Added a little circular glass floor so I can look down on my reactor, and I'm going to try and make these walls actually go around. But I'll explain what's actually going on down there in a bit. We have our lava generation, which is lava, cobble, dripstone into cauldrons being pumped out into this. This gets funneled up this gets pushed onto this and this, and then this is just powering basically all the things in my base. We have an XP farm, we have a couple other gens, cobble generation, and the site diorite being made into tuff, which can get crushed into other things, so I don't need to go mining that much. And that gets all put in this chest, which has a couple issues recently. I should go all the way down here and then output into it. There we go, that's weird. It's probably because this chunk is loaded and what it isn't. Let's false load that chunk. Okay. And then we have power from here. So what I'm doing is I'm getting villagers to create carrots and potatoes and whatnot, crushing that into biofuel. And that biofuel is getting into this chest, and then we turn biofuel into substrate and ethylene, which gets pumped out here. As this ethylene gets put into a gas burner, which turns into power, and power is basically everything. Have a couple other gas burners, and then what I'm doing here is I'm turning that ethylene into liquid ethylene. That's getting pumped into this with oxygen from this electrolytic separator. And that substrate is being turned into HDP pellets, which I'm just taking at the moment, putting it into an enrichment chamber, and then that's getting turned into HDP sheets, which is quite an important recipe. But this power is the most important because this powers this inventory screen, which allows me to just dump things in, take things out. It's very nice. So we have our storage, so we have our disk drives down here, we have our main interface, automatic recipes, little automatic furnace. We have my main billboard, so it goes through the different statistics. So total is just how many items have gone through this system. None of it actually means anything. The good thing is, if they're zeros, I know that the system's off. So for example, the tough generation per hour is off, or 0 because I've turned it off. And the skelly stuff is off because this system over here is off. The train station, which I'm building, but I've kind of made like a guideline of where I want the train tracks to be, and this is going to be the kind of like deposit place. This is going to be the train station, so train station, and then that will be funneled into here, so liquids and solids and items and stuff. So I want to have them go by the farms and collect them, so this would collect the wheat, this would collect the oranges, and this would collect the oak. And then we have on this floor a lot of the newer stuff. So this is our fusion reactor, not the fission reactor, which is the one that blows up. And so this one doesn't blow up because this doesn't work off of nuclear waste, it works off of tritium and deuterium. And I've added water because what I can do is not only does this produce energy itself, but I can water cool it. So if I go inside, I put water into it, and so the plasma produced can turn into steam. The steam goes into here and actually powers this industrial turbine and produces energy. And I can take the energy, not hold it in here, take the energy out and put it into here. And so now I've reached maximum capacity. So this is actually quite a lot of energy. And then just out here, I'm at least using it for something, which is my armor, which uses energy, which is that. Everything underneath here is where it kind of gets intricate. So we have the water pumps, Then back here we have the deuterium generation, so loads of water pumps. And over here we have the tritium, which takes a lot of water pumps. And it takes that, funnels that up here, and is essentially just the water being pumped up here. The water turns into brine, and the brine turns into lithium, and the lithium goes into here, turns into, from lithium to liquid lithium, goes into here, and then that just gets turned into tritium, which is quite nice. Now the place where I kept getting blown up was the desert. So if we actually go to the desert, which I think I renamed now to that, is our fission reactor. We're outputting the steam produced by it into this turbine, and the turbine produces energy, and that energy is going into this induction matrix, which powers everything. I can just have that power go straight into everything here that needs energy, but that will blow up once it's all full, and so I need somewhere to backlog all the energy that's not being used, essentially. We come up here, and then we have sulfur come through here, and that comes through here, something comes through here, uranium comes through here, and it all gathers. Oh my god. Here. This one. That produces fissile fuel, and then we put the fissile fuel all the way through here into our fissile fuel reaction. So put that into our fissile reactor. It comes out here, comes along, comes into solar neutron activator, and right now I have 8 millibuckets. When it hits daytime, this will activate, this will output, and it will output into polonium. The other type, if I use a isotropic centrifuge instead of this, is plutonium. So 2 different types of pellets I can get is plutonium pellets and polonium pellets, which is this. So I need a hell of a lot of these to create these, and so it takes about 5 minutes to get around 1 to 2 of these, around 10 minutes to get a couple of these, but I ran it all night and I got a stack of these, so now I'm just going to start running these. And so to create just one SBS casing, I need 4 of those, and then 1 of these, and then the HTTP sheets from before. And I need, in total, 60. So I'm just over halfway through, and after that, I can turn some of those into these SPS ports, which just use as casings again, and then I can make antimatter pellets, and that's it. I have finished mechanism. I don't need to do this because who cares? So that's max. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go sleep, and I've got a bed up here because it needs daylight and I need to sleep regularly. If I go down, this will start dropping down, this will go into here, and it will start rapidly making. There we go.